Thanks for joining us again, dear viewers, and thanks to our colleague El Jazi for a delicious breakfast, well, ideas, and for sure we are going to do that. Moving from there to another aspect, Parkinson's disease is a brain disorder that leads to shaking, stiffness, and difficulty with walking, balance, and coordination, Abdulaziz.
And also Parkinson's symptoms usually begin gradually and getting even worse by time. As the disease progresses, people may have a difficult walking and also talking. To know more about to defeat this type of disease, let's welcome Nazia Ayub. She's an occupational therapist. So hello and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you guys as well. Thank you for having me.
Well, it is wonderful to have you here with us, Nazia, an occupational therapist.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and about what is occupational therapy?
So I've come from the UK here to work as an occupational therapist in Kuwait. I've been practicing for over 10 years now, and the reason I chose occupational therapy was because it's a very holistic therapeutic therapy, and it covers all aspects of a person's performance. That could be kind of physical and cognitive. So I was really interested in that aspect. Initially, I did want to practice as a physiotherapist, but then when I saw the two, I was more inclined to OT. So it was just kind of like an instinct call, to be honest. And I'm glad I did, because I feel I'm more suited as an occupational therapist.
Well, we are glad you are there, because I can see that you really fit in that emotional, let's say, area of therapy.
Yes, it's a blessing to be able to practice as an occupational therapist. And I think the beauty of occupational therapy is that we can adapt to any setting. We can work with any, if you like, clients. So the age span is vast. So it never gets boring. It's always interesting.
So new interesting things all the time.
Interesting things, never gets bored, because you have too many circumstances, too many stories, too many emotions we can see from glimpse from your eyes.
Yeah.
We appreciate the efforts, because we consider your job as a humanitarian job.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So we speak today about the Parkinson disease. So can you elaborate what is Parkinson disease?
So Parkinson's and Parkinsonism has become apparent over the past 10 years because more people are being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Unfortunately, it's a kind of a neurodegenerative disease which is progressive, and it then obviously classes as a long-term condition which stays with people all, throughout their life, and can become palliative as well nearer to the end. It's a disorder that affects the dopamine levels in the brain, so the neurons start to produce less dopamine within the brain, and the parts of the brain that are affected is the kind of the midbrain, so it's the substantial nigra and the basal ganglia part of the brain, and this part of the brain in particular is responsible for movement and coordination. So you can imagine if there is a low production in dopamine, instantly it's going to affect somebody's gross motor skills, so their walking, their reaction to external stimuli, and the symptoms obviously follow, which we'll talk about in a while. So it's a condition which is known not to kind of be detrimental to life in the aspect that it doesn't reduce life expectancy, but it really has an impact on the quality of life.
See, this is like we call it the Parkinson disease. It's a very major problem, but the good thing, there is an occupational therapist always working hand by hand with the families for cure the disease.
Yes, indeed, Abdulaziz, and I know that a lot have been suffered that, and as you said, lately a lot of us really knew those how to see it or who has it. So if we want to know the prognosis, how can we really discover it earlier?
I mean, the prognosis through research at present is that there is no cure, unfortunately. It's just pharmacological interventions that can kind of reduce the symptoms over time. The detection, if it's detected early, can support the individual and maintain some form of kind of, if you like, independence and quality of life. Like I said, no cure. However, it's not a disease that's known to affect life expectancy. So I guess in essence that somewhat is a positive. However, living with Parkinson's can become very, very challenging.
Yes, it is.
And also, let's talk about your major as an occupational therapist. How can your major cure the Parkinson disease? Because we see already a glimpse some about the movements, how they are doing the move, especially the therapist.
Exactly. First of all, I think just noticing the symptoms, I think for families, carers, and even individuals themselves, I think it's really important to understand how Parkinson's looks like. And I think I know there's several stages of Parkinson's, and the milder forms are when people start to notice a tremor. Yeah. And how I describe that is kind of like a pinrolling tremor. So what you'll see is people, even at rest, are tremoring like so. There's also bradykinesia, which is just a posh word for slow movements. So you'll instantly see that people are moving slower. Their reaction is slower, kind of like a no expression face as well. Difficulty sleeping, difficulty with going to the bathroom, restless legs and pain. So all of these symptoms are caused by Parkinson's. As an occupational therapist, there's lots of aspects that we get involved in. Particularly pain management, because people who experience Parkinson's do experience a lot of pain, and restless legs and just generally pain, because it's a neurotic kind of...
So does it really affect the muscles because of that pain?
Yes, it does. I mean, overall, people find that they're very stiff, depending on what time of the day they are waking up, they are trying to kind of get on with their daily life. So a lot of people tend to find that they do kind of experience stiffness and pain. Okay. So what an occupational therapist might do is to kind of create a rehab plan where people might exert and kind of engage in energy conservation. So maybe exerting activities when they've had medication, let's say, for example, and they're feeling a bit more able. So we kind of help people to kind of, it's almost like coaching, in order to stay independent, maintain their independence, and also lead a life that's of quality. So that's kind of one aspect that we get involved in. There's a lot of kind of heat therapy that we would suggest, splinting to prevent kind of further skeletal deformities. So this can really kind of support people. Sleep hygiene is also another part, because people do struggle with sleep. Constipation and diet, mood, as you can imagine. If you're going through this, you know, a simple walk in the park can become really challenging for somebody.
See how she's describing as an occupational therapist how to cure the disease. We can see from her eyes.
Well, how to help, mostly how to help. This is incurable, Abdulaziz. But I think there is an institute here in Kuwait, right?
Yes,
the Fawzia Al Sultan Institute.
Yes, so that's where I'm based at the moment, and it's Fawzia Sultan Healthcare Network. I'm the clinical lead of the Occupational Therapy Department at this organisation. We're a non-profitable organisation. I'm really proud to be a part of this organisation. And we have a paediatric service and a neuro-elderly service, mainly Parkinson's. You will see over kind of 55 years of age and going onwards. So I work a lot with families, individuals who have Parkinson's within that area.
Nice. See, I know that you consider your job as a humanitarian. You face too many cases.
Yes.
Some of them are very emotional. Some of them like very heartbreaking and even touching. But let's change the mood a little. I see the joyful when you see amazing results.
Yes.
So tell me of one of the stories when you see the result, and how does it feel when they say to you, thank you?
It's satisfaction. As a therapist, it's highly satisfying when you're able to give somebody that independence and you're able to support them in achieving their goals. Like I said, we're a holistic therapy. We are patient-centered. So their goals, once they are achieved, is actually really nice to see. So it kind of motivates you even more to kind of, you know, get on and do what you do on a daily basis. In particularly, you know, I've known individuals where we've adapted their their home environment. We've suggested equipment. So posture and mobility is a massive aspect of people who experience Parkinson's, especially when it becomes quite profound.
Yes.
So at that stage, you know, we'll look at wheelchairs, we'll look at adaptation around the home, walking equipment, how to adapt furniture, just general kind of environment adaptations. And there was a certain individual who that planned out really nicely for, and it meant that he could stay at home and he didn't have to go into a care institution, and he could live independently, however have family over and just have that independence for himself. So that was really nice to be able to kind of, you know, be a part of that and be able to kind of somewhat support that individual in that recovery.
Nice. So it's like something very joyful when she already saw the amazing results.
Yes, indeed. And I know Abdulaziz really loves those stories. You always really search for them. And I have seen a documentary lately about on one of the channels about the cure of the Parkinson, and they were like examinations and just experimental curing. And have Kuwait really participated with these?
I think at the moment the research is of lack worldwide. I think Parkinson's could really do with more investment in research. I know the medication L-Dopa is known to increase levels of dopamine within people who experience Parkinson's. There's also a brain stimulation device that we use. It's DES, and that's a device that's implanted in the chest to support with movement. So there is a lot of kind of pharmacological interventions that are being looked at through research. However, you know, it might be something that I would like to get involved in because, you know, it is my specialist area, and I do enjoy working with kind of neurological diseases and spinal injuries. So, you know, it's something maybe for the future to really get invested in, and especially when it comes to occupational therapy, physiotherapy, mental health as well. You know, we really want to kind of grasp that and make sure that people are aware of all the aspects that are affected. Because individuals are not just physical beings, you know, we've got quite a lot going on. We have external, we have intrinsic factors, so there's a lot to consider.
Yes, there is a
lot to consider, but we consider the main thing that your job is very humanitarian.
Yes.
So I'd like to thank you, and good times will run very fast. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to our guest here, Nazia Ayub, occupational therapist. We were talking a little bit about the Parkinson disease and everything that comes around it. And moving from that to another break, let's have it and continue the good morning segments.